I am Rebecca Salon here at DDS. This is my colleague Kristen Jones, and we're going to be talking to you about employer engagement. And it's the last topic that we're going to focus on. I was looking at the word cloud before I came up, and employers, employer engagement, business partnerships, acceptance, educated employers, informed employers. There was a lot of talk about employers and how important that is. And I think for all of you to know that no matter how good your services is, no matter how good your plan is, if we don't have employers that are engaged, if we're not helping to connect people to employers who would value what you have to offer, then things fall apart. You heard in our opening session about the statistics. So for 26 consecutive months, there were gains in employment for people with disabilities. June, there's been a slight downturn, but for more than 2 years, there was tiny incremental gains in employment for people with disabilities, both in terms of the general population and in terms of workforce participation, which means that people are either working or they're actively looking for jobs. But I don't know if you can see this, but the numbers for people without disabilities is about 77% or more. The numbers for people with disabilities is a little over 30%. So less than half, as a comparison, people with disabilities and people without disabilities being in the workforce. So we want to talk about what's in it for employers and then hear from you about how this all works.
So what's in it for employers? The idea for us is to engage our employers. Now, what we want to do is we want to find out, we want to speak our employer language. We want to be able to communicate with employers in order to make sure that we are able to engage them. The most important part is making sure that our employers basically know what's in it for them. I would love to tell people that every employer wants to be, puppy dogs and ice cream and hug everybody out, but it is all about the bottom line. At the end of the day, they want to know how does hiring a person with a disability or any person helps their bottom line. And so a lot of what we focus on is making sure that people understand that if you hire someone with a disability, you're going to be 48% more likely to have greater tenure. Okay? Now, greater tenure means that you're going to save on training costs. What does that mean? For one person, in order to train a person for a job that's $30,000 or less, it is going to cost that employer $4,800. If you are now getting rid of that $4,800 every single time, you're going to be saving that employer money. That is how you get that employer to kind of come talk to you about these things. Now, the harder part about this is making sure we figure out who we're working with. Number one, first and foremost, if you are new to this, if you are trying to figure out who to talk to, you always want to preach to who? The choir. Right? You want to preach to the choir. You want to preach to those organizations that already have a set disability inclusion policy within their organization, right? If you're working with those who are already inclusive, you're going to pitch to those people in a different manner. And those who are uninitiated altogether, you're going to have to pitch them differently, right? And one of the things that we want to always do is we want to focus on making sure that we make things easier for everyone. And these are some of the bottlenecks to engagement for possible solutions. So when you see this, one of the things that you really, really want to focus on is this. You'll see cultural stereotypes. Well, we need to create programs to raise awareness, right? We see self-identification. We need to educate people and inform them about the importance of self-identification so that organizations already know that they have individuals with disabilities working with them already. We all know that 1 in 7 people in the DMV has a disability. So we know already that those people are working and making money and not creating any issues or problems or concerns. We want to ease those stereotypes. And so as you go through this, one of the basic information, the things that you want to get out of this is make sure you know how to speak to your employer. Make sure you are talking to the choir first, right? If you can get the choir involved, then you'll be able to go and work with a different employer later. Because the more people that you move into the choir, the easier this will be.